I just built this AI UGC generator using NA10, Nano Banana, and VOT. And what you just do is you upload an image of a product basically, and it generates a UGC video for you, a well-being UGC one for that fact. So let me quickly show you a quick demo of how it works. So what I've done here is I've basically uploaded an image of a whey protein product by Optimum Nutrition, and what I've done is I've basically selected the aspect ratio, whether that be landscape or portrait. I'm going with portrait this time, and the number of variations you can choose up to 10, but what I'm doing here is just a quick demo, so I'm going to just choose one. And at the top right, we basically select, I'm going to paste in our webhook URL for NE10 basically, so that I can treat at the back end. So we just get that and paste that over here. Yeah, we just generate. So it's gonna take some time, as you can see here. It's gonna take up to like 2 minutes because it's video generation. So once it's done, I'm gonna show you the results. Video just finished generating, and it gives us two options. You can download it or play it directly on this website. What I've done here is I've basically downloaded it so that we can preview it on our computer, because there's an issue, because when it's portrait, there's kind of a misalignment, as you can see here. So best thing we do is that we go to our downloads and basically view it right here.
My buddy at the gym was like, dude, just try Gold Standard from Optimum Nutrition. I was skeptical because powders always clump and taste weird.
As you can see, it looks very, very good. There are a bit of issues, as you can notice in the video, but as the AI models get better and better, it's just gonna keep on getting better. But you can see the concept and the potential of this. So yeah, so that's a quick demo now. And what I'm gonna do next is I'm gonna quickly show you a quick high-level overview of how this works. It all starts with Lovable, which acts as the front end of this application, and then we have NA10, which acts as the back end. So as you can see here, the image that we upload, the number of variations, the aspect ratio type, and also the webhook URL is all put into a JSON body, which gets sent to the webhook URL as an API call basically. And what the front end does is that it waits for the NA10 to process, to basically go through this whole workflow. Wait, let me show you. To basically go through this whole workflow and basically come back with a response. And once that response is gotten back from NA10, this basically displays that response, which is a video URL that we get back, and then it gives us an option to play it or download it. Let's go into the NA10 backend and show you how that works too as well. So it all starts with this webhook URL, which receives the payload from the Lovable front end. And after that, what we basically do is that we set the API credentials for the two APIs we use. The first one is an INGBB API. The second one is a file AI API. The reason why we use INGBB is that we convert the image which we get from the front end, which gets passed to the APIs in base64, but once it gets to the back end, we upload it into an image hosting platform like IMGBB to get back an image URL so that we can use it in API calls for file AI. And what file AI is basically like an API aggregator where you can get access to not just Nano Banana VOV, but other visual and which is photo and video models too. So it just makes everything easier to use because it's just one API client compared to just signing up with Google, all that hassle. So it makes everything simplified for us. So as I said, we set the API credential over here and it converts the image from base64 to image URL using IMGBB. After that, we pass this image URL to GPT-4o, which analyzes the image. And the reason why we analyze the image is because the AI agent in NA10 does not have the capability to pass on images to it as an input. So we have to basically take the image, pass it to GPT-4o so that it can extract the details of the image, basically taking it from a visual form to a textual form, so that we provide it to the AI agent, which is the AI UGC Creative Director, which I'll be going through in depth with it a bit later. But the overview of how it works is that just imagine it as the brain, as the director that orchestrates everything for the UGC. It chooses the scene, it chooses the person, it chooses the script, the emotions, the dialogue, what to say, the energy levels, every single thing you can think of. So yeah, once it does basically all the orchestration, it produces a video prompt and a photo prompt. I'm gonna explain to you why we use those video prompts and the photo prompt, or should I say image prompt. So yeah, once it produces that, because it produces it in objects, and we won't be able to pass on multiple arrays of objects in API call, so we'd have to loop it. That's why we use the split out. And then once we have the split out, just think of here everything from here all the way to where it aggregates back into one single object as a loop, basically. So let's say, depending on the variation we put in the front end, let's say if that is 10, this is going to loop 10 times. So for the first part of the loop, we have a generate image, which we use Nano Banana, also known as Gemini 2.5 Flash. We use that to generate the photo image, which is like a shot of the UGC video. When I go in that, I'm going to show you how that looks like. Then after that, we wait 30 seconds for the image to finish processing. And once we wait 30 seconds, we check the status of the image request to basically see if it's in progress or done. And depending on if it's still in progress, we take it back into a loop, basically where it waits 30 seconds, it checks the status, and if it's still in progress, the loop basically keeps on going. However, if it's done, we basically get the image results, which would be an image URL of a still shot of the UGC video. It's not the UGC video, but it's a still shot. After that, we take that still shot, we take the image URL, which we get from the front end of Lovable, if you can remember, and we generate a video using an image to video model known as a VO3 fast. So, and then we provide the video prompt, if you can remember. So we use the image prompt over here, and then we use the video prompt. Just think the video prompt has scripts, emotion levels, energy levels, everything like that. And then what the image prompt basically includes is just like the scene, the setting, the type of person. This image just sets the foundation, while the video basically builds on that foundation. And it's basically the same logic as the image over here, which you wait 30 seconds, it checks the request. Once that request is done, it checks if it's in progress or done. If it's in progress, it keeps on looping. However, if it's done, it gets a video result, which is a video URL. And once that is done, we basically sort out the array, we clean it out, we basically just want the video URLs. After that, we aggregate everything back, which basically is the end of the loop. And once we have everything in one array, all the video URLs, if it's a one variation, it's going to be only one video URL. However, if it's 2, 3, 4, 5, it's just going to be the number of the variations we have chosen. And after that, we just pass it back as a response to the API call that was made from the front end. And once the front end basically receives back the response, which is the video URL, and displays it here and gives us an option to either play or download the video. And once you download it, as I've showed you previously, you can take a preview and see what it has made for you. So yeah, that's basically a quick high-level overview of how everything works together. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna go in depth and show you every single node, every single variable, and how everything comes together, so you can get a better understanding of this application and workflow. Before I quickly show you an in-depth explanation of how everything plugs together, I want to show you another preview which I made in the test drawing before I started this recording, just to show you it's basically of the same product, but it's just a different variation too as well, so that you can see the capabilities of this application. So let's click on it here and then see how it looks like.
If you hate chalky protein shakes, watch this, because I honestly thought this was going to be one of those too. I lift before work and I needed quick protein.
As you can see, it's quite similar to the first one, but it's just different setting, different scene, and yeah, you get the point. So all we're gonna do now is we're gonna get started with the in-depth overview. So as I've said, okay, so let's start basically a quick high level. As you can see, there are 5 parts to this workflow, and we're gonna basically start with this yellow part, which is the webhook URL. Let's go over to executions and look at the previous execution that we just did. So if we go into the webhook, as you can see, we receive this payload, which includes headers, and what we are focusing on is the body, because the body receives the base 64 as I've told you, and it receives the variation which we input in the front end, and the aspect ratio too as well, which is 9:16 if it's a portrait and 16:9 if it's a landscape. The variation number, as you can see here, what we put here is 1, and we get 1 back in the backend, and the webhook URL is basically what we put in here, so we get that back, which is basically the endpoint the API gets sent to, the data gets sent to basically. And once we have received this data, we move on to the set API credentials, where you get your IMGBB API credentials and your Fire API credentials. I'm going to show you how to get those after this, so stay tuned. So after we set the API credentials, what we do next is we convert the base64 image to an image URL using IMGBB. So it's a normal post request. We make to the endpoint of IMGBB upload, and we set the API key as a query parameter. And all we do is just that we send the body as a form data, and we just pass through the base64 code. And what we get back is basically this JSON body, and what we are going to be focusing on is basically this URL, which is the base64 basically converted from base64 to an URL, which you can see here. And once we have that, we move on to the next part, which is the analyzing product image. And the whole point of this, as I've told you, is to basically give the creative director, the AI agent creative director, a textual description of how the product looks like, because you cannot pass a photo as an input to an anything agent, basically, not yet. So if I'm gonna go into the prompt, I'm gonna show you how it works. So basically, we start as you're an expert image analyst specializing in product imagery. Your task is basically to transform the product's visual details into a highly distinctive textual representation, as I've told you. And the instruction is basically to focus only on the product, not the background. After that, I want this prompt to basically extract the brand name, the logo, the product name, the colors, and exactly where the colors are applied and how they are used. Also design details. And another key information I provided with is that I want it to be extremely detailed. And the most important thing is the output format, because we want it to always be structured and be the same all the time. So we provided this YAML structure that it's always going to produce the output for us, so that once we pass it onto the AI agent, which is the creative director, it looks like this, because this is the YAML file. As you can see, the brand, optimum nutrition, the logo consists of initials on, in bold, and all that kind of stuff in details, basically, as you can see here. And what we do is that we pass it onto the UGC creative director. I'm going to show you how it comes into play, basically, this YAML file. So this AI UGC director, as I've said, is the brain of this whole system. It orchestrates the whole system from A to Z. It chooses the scene, the person, the script, every single thing. So it has a system message here and a user message. Just think of this user message as the message you type into ChatGPT, and the system message is basically the hard-coded system message which you do not see. So if we go into the prompt, it's quite lengthy, as you can see. It's very, very lengthy. But I'm just going to give you a quick high-level overview of how the prompt works, because if I go into detail, we're just going to stay here forever. So yeah, it just starts with saying you are a world-class UGC video director who has created multiple viral and highly profitable UGC campaigns for e-commerce brands and generating hundreds of millions of dollars in revenue. And you'll be given the product description, which is this YAML file, from the previous execution. And using this product, your task is to come up with a UGC video concept following the master guide. And what I've done is I've basically created a master guide. It goes into every single detail for creating a UGC video ad. It starts with the creator selection. It starts and based on, so it starts with the creator selection and the demographics that basically convert depending on the product style. So as you can see here, we have beauty and skincare, and the best age to choose basically is 22 to 35. Same for fashion, home, kitchen, tech gadgets, health and wellness. As you can see, the age varies depending on the product niche. And after that, we have the gender strategy, which basically the choice between female creators, male creators, and the mixed approach. So when choosing male creators, it's best to use male creators when the product is in beauty, fashion, home, or wellness related product. And when to use male creators is just better when the product is a tech, fitness, outdoor gear, and tools type of product. And mixed approach is basically because if we provide, let's say in the input here from the front end, let's say we provide 5 variations, it's gonna alternate and choose not just a male creator but a mixed approach, which means it could be 3 male and 2 female. But if it's, let's say, 1 variation, it's gonna be very rigid and choose, let's say if it's a tech tool, it's gonna choose a male creator. And the personality too as well. First of all, the personality profiles are different personality profiles. The first one is the relatable friend, which 80% of UGC videos should be like that. It should slightly be in perfect appearance, not perfect, because if we tell the AI to be perfect, it's just not going to look realistic. So we have to tell it to be imperfect, natural speech with basically filler words like ums and pauses, and genuine excitement. Also energy levels, we also have to set the energy levels because that translates to the viewer's psychology and all that kind of stuff. And also another one is the skeptical convert, which is another personality profile, which is, first of all, the character looks initially doubtful, but then once they try the product and like, oh wow. Another one is a busy parent or professional, which is they're basically multitasking while they're doing the video. And this basically shows the real life interpretations. Let's say they have kids, they have phone calls, and it's basically like a quick tip approach. I can see how that would play into some products, maybe home products, parenting products, and all that kind of stuff, if you get what I mean. Another one after the creator personality profile is the physical characteristics that work. So facial features are expressive eyes, natural smile, slightly asymmetrical features, and minimal to no professional makeup. So just keeping it natural, as I've said, because the more perfect it is, the less realistic it looks if it's an AI model. And the body language, relaxed posture, not rigid, natural hand gesture doing, and occasional fidgeting, just humanizing the whole content so that it does not look like an AI. And also authentic micro expressions. And then on top of that, as I told you, we go very, very in-depth. We go into the technical setup as well and equipment. The camera quality is key because we do not want to see the camera quality, let's say it's the new 17 Pro, because it's gonna look very, 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 very perfect because AI takes everything like for like. So, but once we say, let's say the image quality should be like from iPhone 12 to 14, it's not gonna look as professional, which means it's gonna look even more realistic. So as I've put here, primary camera should be a smartphone, not a professional camera, and even the smartphone is not the best of the best. It should be an iPhone 12 to 14. As I said, sweet spot for good, but not too good. And also in the videos, there should be a slight camera shake. Just the whole point is just to guide the AI so that it will not be too perfect and too professional, or making it add some nuances that makes the video realistic. And as you can see, natural light variations and different kind of things, and also quality markers. 1080p max, slight compression artifacts, natural color grade, authentic audio quality. On top of that too, after the camera quality, you go into the audio quality. We just basically choose not a professional audio source, which could be a built-in iPhone mic, slight ambience noise, background, and all that kind of stuff. So, and as I've said too, avoid bed studio perfect sound. So just a bit of background noise would help it. And also audio quality matters, as I've said, slight background noise, natural room reverb, occasional audio level variations, so it could be high pitch, low pitch, all that kind of stuff, and also authentic building sounds to make it much more natural. And after that, we basically gone to the camera, the audio. Now we're going into the filming angle. I told you this is the brain of the whole system. It goes in depth. So you go into the filming angles, basically the winning angles, slightly below eye level, off-center framing, natural camera movement, and occasional refocusing. So it could be blurry here, blurry there, and all that kind of stuff, and also movement patterns. That all plays a key, and when it comes together, that is why it looks really good, as I'll show you in the demo. The setting, the environment also matters depending on the product. So as you can see, I teach in the location psychology, because the high converting locations, number one, a high converting UGC location could be a bedroom, unmade bedroom. It doesn't look too perfect. Another one could be a kitchen, a dining area. Another one, bathroom. Fourth is car interior, which is starting to be more common, and also it could be up there with the personal bedroom, to be honest. And another one is couch, living room. And the way it chooses this, it's depending on the product, it's depending on the age, it's depending on the person type, the demographic, all that kind of stuff. So everything is custom. And the background elements too as well. There could be a personal photo. So we don't just say, okay, it's gonna be a room scene. We have to also account what's going to be in the background of the scene too as well. So there could be a personal photo, there could be a slight and a natural life and changes, an authentic life happening around, and time in consideration, as I've said. So it could be in the day, it could be in the morning, the night, sunset, sunrise, all that plays a factor into making the UGC look extremely realistic. Also, seasonal relevance depending on the product. If you're making a video about a winter product, obviously the background should look like it's winter and all that kind of stuff, if you get what I mean. Also, content structure. This is all about the script, from the hook to the pattern. From the hook to the discovery, the origin problem, everything, breaking that everything from the beginning of the script to the ending. As you can see here, there's the hook framework, the 4-part framework, and basically the results, the experience, everything plays a part. And also some language patterns that we have seen that convert extremely well is power phrases like "I'm obsessed with this. This actually works," or "I wish I found this sooner." And if you've probably seen UGC ads yourself, you would have seen some of these power phrases being used in those UGC videos too as well. Authentic markers like self-corrections, or like, "Oh, actually wait," so like it doesn't sound too perfect. It's so that the video seems like it was just made like fast recording, basically, that kind of thing. On top of that, there's basically objection handling integration. You could say, yes, it's an investment, but it just depends on the type of UGC video you're making. The skepticism to the comparison shopping, like, "Oh, I tried this competitor first, but when I tried this, it was a whole different experience for me." You see, that's a comparison shopping. And finally, we package everything into the performance, like the delivery part of the guide. As I've said, we focus on the energy levels, a problem focus solution at different parts of the video than different energy levels, because if nobody has the same energy levels throughout a whole video. Maybe by the beginning of this video, my energy level was completely different to it now. So if you get what I mean. Also, facial expression mastery. As I told you, we go into every single detail, and this creative director is the mastermind behind everything. Also, the voice modulation, the tonal shifts, the pace variations, the gesture authenticity, the body language, and everything. And then we put everything together into a conclusion, and that is the end of guide, basically. Not the prompt, but the guide. So after the guide, we give it some important notes, which we tell it to use full stops for pauses and do not use M dashes, because VO3 kinds of it messes it up when it sees M dashes. It doesn't pick it up as a pause compared to when it sees like full stops or basically, and it takes that as a pause. Also, do not use double quotation marks too as well, because it messes it up. Same way it does with the M dashes. And also, I keep on instating the camera and image quality should not appear overly professional. The less polished and more natural it looks, the better. And here is the role that we give the mastermind, the creative director, basically. It basically starts with, you will direct the UGC by providing both an image prompt, image prompt, which was what I told you for the image generation, and the video prompt, which was what I showed you, which takes the image to basically provide the video. And for each variation, the creator will then use this prompt to produce the actual UGC content. And all the outputs must be formatted in a valid JSON. As you can see, this is the JSON template. It starts with for the image prompt, it starts with the character, age, gender, appearance, emotion, body language, setting. It goes into every single detail I showed you in the guide. And there's also the template for the prompt. For the video prompt, it starts with a hook, setup, discovery, experience, call to action, delivery instructions, actions, timing to of the video. And once you provide it with the template, you also provide it with actual JSON outputs of like an actual image prompt and a video prompt. As you can see, this is one, age 27, female, with the appearance of a natural girl next door, look with a slightly messy hair, minimal makeup, authentic smiles, expressive brown eyes, and wearing casual oversized hoodie. You see, it goes deep. And then we don't just stop there, we go into every single part, the camera type, the positioning. And then once we're done with the image prompt, we go into the video prompt, which starts with the hook, the delivery instructions, the actions, and the timing too. And we don't just provide one example. I think in this prompt, it's 2 examples. So let's quickly see. Yeah, no, it's 3 examples, my bad. So yeah, we provide you with 3 examples, and this is basically what makes up the whole point, the whole prompt. Then at the end, we use a thinking tool. We just tell it to use a thinking tool to basically carefully think about your approach and ensure that the final output is accurate, polished, and ready to use. And that is that for the system prompt. And for the user prompt, which it's simple compared to the much more simpler compared to the system prompt. We basically just say, okay, here's the product description and be making the UGC video for. Here's the product description in YAML, which is basically what we use what we got in the previous execution. We got the YAML here, everything detailed, and we also pass it the number of variations so that it knows how many JSONs to make. Once we have that done, it basically produces an output, a JSON with the image prompt, as you can see here. It gave us an age of 33, male, and the appearance athletic but approachable look with slightly tousled short hair, light stubble, and all that kind of stuff. So it gave us the image prompt, as you can see here, and it gave us the video prompt too as well. And once we have those two, as I've told you, I split it out into, if this, okay, it wouldn't really make sense here, but if, let's say, for example, it was 2 variations, we would get 2 objects. So it wouldn't just be 1 image prompt, it would be 2 image prompts. It wouldn't just be 1 video prompt, it would be 2 video prompts. And the whole point is just to basically split it out into separate objects so that it can loop through each. And since here is just 1 variation, it's just gonna split it into the same object, basically, it being 1. And once you split it out, we start with the generate an image, basically. Is the simple post request which we make to the file AI nano banana endpoint. We also provide that a header, which is the API key, the content type, and for the body we use JSON. Let me quickly open it up. The prompt is simple and straight to the point. It just says, based on the JSON prompt below, generate a UGC style image in this aspect ratio, which is what we get from the front end, as you can see here, which is 9:16, and then we provide it with the JSON prompt as well, and then we do some formatting so that there are no formatting issues when we send the data over to the file AI API endpoint. So we basically the curly brackets, we put slashes, and we basically clean it up. And once we're done with that, the next thing is we provide it with the image URL, which is the IMGBB upload that we converted from base64. Once we send that over, we receive a response, which is basically the output. The two important things that I want you to look out here is the status and the request ID. The request ID will be using it to check the status and to get the results of this particular request. Right now it says it's in queue, which means it has not started. If it has started, it would have said in progress. But in this case, it's in queue, and if it was done, it would have said completed. So it's in queue, and we basically wait 30 seconds. Once we wait 30 seconds, we check the status of the request. Basically, it's the status. It's okay. So checking the status of the image request is similar to the initial one where we make the request, but this one is just a GET request. We make it to the status endpoint of the Nano Banana, and we pass in the same headers, authorization, and content type, but this time nobody. And the response we get here, it says status is completed, and we pass in also the request ID that we go back, as I've told you, as a query parameter. It tells us that it is completed, and then we use the switch case statement to determine, to basically check the output of this past mode, whether it's in progress or completed. Let me quickly go in here. So here, it checks the status. If it's completed, it moves over to a certain path. If it is in progress, it basically goes back to the loop where basically takes a loop and goes back to it for 30 seconds. It checks the status, and if it's still not done, it's going to keep on looping. And once it says completed, we're going to get the image results. It's quite similar to the status API call. It's a GET request, and then we use the request ID. It's using the same headers, and all we get back, and what we're looking for to get back, is basically this image URL from file AI. And as you can see here, if I open it here, it gives us a stationary image, basically a shot of the UGC reader. Here it has perfectly done that for us using the image prompt. And so we basically exit it. We're going to use this image prompt, and so we're going to use this image that we have gotten from file AI, from Nano Banana, and we are basically going to use that to generate a video. So it's quite similar to the API call we made when making the request, where it's a post request to the VO3 model, because we're using VO3 fast, not Nano Banana, because Nano Banana does not have the ability to create videos. It only has the ability to create images, but this has the ability to create videos. And we're using the image to video model, because it has a text to video model, and then there's a fast version, and then there's the normal version. The fast version is basically cheaper, and I do not see that much quality difference that it warrants for the price difference, basically. So we make an API call to the VO3 model using the same headers, authorization, content type, authorization basically content API key, and then we send over a JSON body using quite a similar prompt. We basically turn this image that we get over here and basically turn it into a video based on the JSON prompt below, and generate a UGC style video in this aspect ratio that we get from the front end, which is 9:60, which is a portrait. As you can see here, the video prompt is also formatted, or the curly brackets are removed, the quotation marks are removed, they're all added, the slash in, and we do not have any formatting problems when we send over this on the JSON prelude to the file AI backend. We provide it with the image URL, and we also add in the aspect ratio, which is 9:16. And once we get that, the same thing as the image, we get back the status of the request and the request ID, which we will use to get status of the request and eventually get the results of the request. So as you can see here, the status says in queue, which means it has not started, or it would have said in progress. Yes, perfect. So here we can see how the loop was utilized, because it looped 3 times, as you can see here, 3, 3, 3. So it first started and it waited for 30 seconds. Then it checked the status. In the first run, it said in progress. And before I get into that, let me quickly show you the request. There's a get method, and we make it to the endpoint, similar to how we did for the nano banana, the image one. We basically placed in our request ID that we got using the same headers, authorization, and content type were nobody. So yeah, so once we send that over, we get this response which says it's in progress and the same request ID that we have. And then with the switch case statement, basically determined that it was still in progress and it wasn't the first run. So it took us back to the loop, waited 30 seconds again, and in the second run, it still said in progress, which the switch case statement determined that it was still in progress. It went back into the loop again, and you can see in the final run, it finally said completed, and the switch case statement finally determined that yes, it is completed, and then we moved on to the getting the video results, which is similar to the getting the status of the request, which it's a get request because my getting information. A post request is when you send a JSON payload. A get request is when you're getting information from the backend. So we send it to this endpoint using the request ID as a query parameter, and then we send over the headers, which is the authorization, and then what we get back is the video, which is right here.
My buddy at the gym was like, dude, just try gold standard from Optimum Nutrition. I was skeptical because powders always clump and taste weird.
And as you can see, this video is basically what we have right here. So I hope you're piecing things together, seeing how this all comes and works together. So yeah, once you get that video URL, that is the most important thing, and we basically strip all this out and we just get the URL, and that is the whole point of this part, where we just strip it out and we just get the video URL here. As you can see, the input had the content type, file name, and file size, but then the output basically just give us the video URL, because that is just what we want. And then after that, we aggregate everything back into one object, because let's say if there were more than one variation, let's say 2 or 3, the items here would say 2, and it would just keep on looping until all those items are completed. But now in this case, it's just 1, so we just get one video URL. But if it was 2, it's gonna aggregate into more, basically the number of the variations. Basically, once that is done, we send it back. We stringify the JSON, we stringify the object, or should I say we convert the object into a JSON, and then we send it back to the front end, which is Lovable. And what Lovable does finally is it displays it for us and gives us an option to play it from the website or to download it so that we can view it on our computer. So yeah, hopefully this gives you a bit of understanding on how this works. And yeah, so that's basically an in-depth explanation of how this UGC AI UGC video generator works. Next up, I'm going to show you how you can get this up and running in your computer. So to get this up and running, we're going to need a few things. First of all, we're going to need any whether that's self-hosted or cloud-hosted, anyone. And then we're going to need a Find AI API key. I'm going to show you how to get that, and the IMGBB API key. Then also how to get access to this JSON workflow. So the JSON of this workflow, basically. So first of all, to get anything, if you're watching this, just go to anything and yeah, sign in and get started. For IMGBB, you click on IMGBB, then API. Go to this, and this is where you get your API key from. For file AI, you basically sign up. You go to file.ai, and once you sign up, and you basically, they're currently doing an offer where if you provide it with a payment method, you put in your credit card details, they're not going to charge you, but what they're going to give you is that they're going to give you $10 in free credits. So that is, I believe, more than enough for you to try this out. And once you get those API keys, you come back to this workflow and you see here where it says set API credentials. You say your IMGBB API key here and your file AI API key here. Then I believe after that, that's basically it for the setup. To get access to the JSON of this workflow, you go to, I'm gonna put a link to this cool community down below where you can get access to this, and not just this, but all of my other templates. So once you come in, you go to the tools and resources section, and then you click on the AI UGC generator. You come all the way down and you click on this to download it. And once you download this, all you have to do is basically come into your anything and paste this. And once you've set the API, you've pasted it, all you have to do then is basically copy this production URL, make sure this is active, and just get access to this website, which it's also here. Just click on it here. You upload your image. You set the portrait, you set the number of variations, and if you can remember, we copied the webhook URL, the production, not the test, the production, and make sure the workflow is set to active. You just paste it here, and you just click on generate. That is how it works. So yeah, hopefully, yeah, you like this video and you like this workflow too as well. And yeah, that's it from me today, and see you in the next one.